Story number 1, Silent Signal. Have you ever wondered if history is unfolding quietly around you? Whether the colleague at the next desk is about to become a legend? I did. And I knew from the start that my employer, Mr. Valentino, wasn't just another name in the world of science. He was destined for something monumental. Our work wasn't all about him, but he was the catalyst. We chased a dream that danced on the edge of science fiction, telepathy, real, functional, thought-to-thought communication. What started as a theoretical shot in the dark turned into a discovery that would change human interaction forever. The first working prototype was almost magical. Valentino and our colleague Ronnie sat in separate rooms, wearing custom-designed earpieces synchronized to our device, the Cerebrum. Ronnie would hold flashcards and Valentino would speak their contents without seeing them. 10 trials became 50. Each success brought us closer to tears. We had built a bridge between minds. Later that night, over greasy pizza and glowing screens, Mr. Valentino stood up and gave a speech I'll never forget. Today, we've laid the foundation for true unity. Thoughts, no longer imprisoned, will become bridges. Language is obsolete. Misunderstanding, a thing of the past. The human race, finally connected. The technology advanced rapidly. With a Cerebrum unit installed and the earpiece worn, individuals could share thoughts across a 1-mile range. Contracts poured in, from the military to hospitals to entertainment giants. Productivity soared. Students learned in their sleep. Emergency responders saved lives in minutes. But then came the question, what if we didn't need the earpiece at all? The government posed it first. Most of us were hesitant. The earpiece was more than a conduit. It was consent. Without it, thoughts would be shared without filters or permission. Mr. Valentino wasn't as worried. He saw connection, not intrusion. The government saw opportunity. Emergency alerts broadcast directly to the brain. We pushed forward. Some colleagues quit. I stayed. Our second-generation Cerebrum changed the game again. In a live test before a room of stakeholders, Valentino placed the neural interface helmet on and powered it up. His voice echoed in all our minds. That's one small step for man. The applause was instant. The triumph was real. At first, the benefits were undeniable. Natural disasters became coordinated responses. Postal services ran like clockwork. Advertisers, of course, jumped on board next. Instead of commercials, they hired thoughtcasters to inject jingles and messages directly into the public's thoughts. Tinfoil sales spiked. The noise in our minds grew louder. Still, Mr. Valentino pressed on, obsessed with a world fully linked in thought. He didn't see the warning signs, not even when the dead began to rise. The first reports seemed laughable, fake, but then we saw them. Bodies shambling out of cemeteries, aimless yet determined. No cries for brains, no violent attacks, just silent, organized movement. Emergency broadcasts warned the public to stay home. But even with soldiers intervening, the undead refused to engage. They weren't attacking. They were searching. Then they began targeting our facilities. The first hit was in Iowa. They tore through our lab, destroying everything except the Cerebrum unit. That was smashed beyond recognition. It wasn't isolated. Locations across the country fell, one by one, all in the same way. Something was drawing them, and something about our technology was at the center. As the infrastructure collapsed, so did the government's ability to respond. They'd grown too dependent on the Cerebrum network. Meanwhile, Mr. Valentino refused to leave the headquarters. He connected himself to the main Cerebrum and began broadcasting calm messages to anyone still listening. But soon, those messages shifted. Please, panic, then sobbing. Our town knew the end was near when a putrid fog rolled in, followed by the sound of dragging feet. The zombies didn't break down doors. They simply walked through, towards him. In that final moment, we all heard him, Mr. Valentino, screaming inside our minds, desperate and terrified. Then, silence. A beat passed, then another voice, coarse, ancient, a whisper soaked in rot, slithered into every one of us. Quiet, please. Since then, the only voice in my mind is my own. Story number 2, The Season of Secrets. Where is my daughter? I need to see her one last time, to say goodbye. The cancer isn't the only thing eating away at me. My son-in-law, David, is here. So are my granddaughters, Lila and Nia. But where is Erica? She should be by my side. My vision is nearly gone, but I know she's not here. My name is Martha Ellen Ridley, born Martha Green on June 26, 1950, in a quiet farming town called Willoughby. I feared God, as I was taught to, and I feared my own father. Then I feared my husband, Thomas, until I stopped. That's the part I need to confess before I go. Yes, this is one of those deathbed confessions, not for forgiveness, not for redemption. I'm not asking for heaven. I just want to tell the truth before the end, because on the day I killed the man I married, I wasn't thinking about salvation. He hit me. We called it discipline. He cheated. We called it wandering. We never said what we meant. For 25 years, we fought like wild animals and made up like lost lovers. We clung to each other out of fear, not love. He ran the farm. I kept the home. We survived. We rarely looked each other in the eye. We raised Erica with the best intentions, strict rules, high expectations. No TV before homework. Always mind your manners. We thought she was meant for more than this life. And she did find her way. Married a kind man, David, and gave me 2 beautiful granddaughters. Yet something feels off. There's a heaviness in their faces. They're grieving, but it feels wrong, too performative. We've always kept our emotions at arm's length. Why the show now? Nana, says one of the girls, reaching for my hand. I'm sorry. For the cancer, I rasp. It's part of life, sweetheart. No, the other replies. You shouldn't have to suffer this way. I cough, hard, deep. My lungs feel like they're made of ash. David props me up gently. I spit something dark into a tissue. Yes, I smoked. Everyone did back then. Doctors told us it was healthy. Commercials said it was refreshing. We believed them. We didn't know better. What were you about to say, Nana? Lila asks. I gather the last of my strength. I murdered Thomas. David freezes. That's not true. He got sick. Died in '98. Natural causes. I remember it more clearly than anything else in my life, I say. I was sharper that day than any before or after. Where is Erica? She needs to hear this. She's coming, one of the twins says, not convincingly. Whatever you're about to tell us. David trails off, clearly rattled. I needed to be free. After decades of beatings and betrayals, I couldn't take it anymore. I suggested divorce. He responded with fists and fury, threw me into the wall. I passed out, and when I woke up, I knew it was either him or me. So I made vegetable soup for lunch and added curing salt, Prague powder, enough to stop a heart. What's that? One of the girls whispers. Used for preserving meat, David says. Usually harmless in small amounts. It wasn't an accident, I say. I planned every bit of it. He wanted it salty. I gave him what he asked for. My grin is met with silence. He said he felt dizzy, went to lie down. When I checked on him, he was blue. I called 911, told them he must have stopped breathing in his sleep. No one questioned it. No autopsy. David backs away, horrified. You're confessing to murder. I am, but I survived. He would have ended me if I hadn't acted. Why not just leave? Cries Nia. I had nowhere, no money, no one. Erica needed stability. I had to be the constant. That was the only way I knew. You don't know what pain is, I add. What it's like to be trapped. Yes, I do, says Lila. More than you think. My pulse stutters. What do you mean? She leans in. We killed Mom. Nia gasps. Don't tell her that. Don't say another word. You don't know what it was like, Lila continues. The constant yelling, the pressure, the guilt trips. She made us hate each other. She made us compete. We turned on each other until we turned on her. I blink. You killed Erica? An hour ago. We didn't plan it. We just snapped. You're lying, I whisper. No, says David, voice trembling. They must be lying. Wake up, Dad, Nia snaps. We couldn't take it anymore. David drops to his knees with a cry that echoes down the hallway. My father used to tell me, I murmur, that evil skips a generation. I never believed him. Until now. We're cursed. All of us. The room goes still. David is sobbing, wrecked. Get up, David, I say with my last bit of fire. I told Erica not to marry someone weak. She had to lead because you wouldn't. And now she's gone. I cough again, harder this time. It won't stop. I close my eyes. No one is holding my hand anymore. That's fine. That's how it should end. I don't deserve peace, neither do they. But maybe David still has time. Because no matter what the stars say, this is my cancer season. And I've lost my war with the crab. Story number 3. A peaceful stay at home. It was another chilly morning in West Branch. My breath fogged the window as I gazed out at the snowy scene blanketing our backyard. The bare trees looked like pale shadows. A shiver ran down my spine just thinking about stepping outside, alone, freezing, lost in the endless white. Are you coming? Mark's voice called from the kitchen. Your breakfast is getting cold. Turning away from the frosted glass, I walked down the hallway, pausing to glance at the wedding pictures hanging on the walls. There we were, smiling, dancing, wrapped up in each other as if the rest of the world had vanished. I kissed the top of Mark's head when I entered the kitchen, breathing in the familiar scent of his fancy shampoo, coconut mixed with some exotic note I couldn't quite name. I love you so much, I murmured, settling across from him. I can't believe we finally decided to just stay home for a while. He looked up from his plate, offering that gentle, reassuring smile he used to give me on nights when I woke up crying. You deserve this, he said softly. The past few months have been tough. I thought a quiet couple of weeks here would help you feel more grounded. I nodded slowly, eyes dropping to the simple meal before me. Bacon, toast, sausage, and eggs. Comforting and familiar. I'm trying, I whispered, but the medication. It feels like I'm submerged, like everything's heavy and distant. You're still you, he replied kindly, just a little less burdened. I missed this, I admitted. Us, talking like we used to, before things got so blurry. His hand found mine, squeezing gently. I love you, he said, but you have to face what's happened. What do you mean? I asked, puzzled. Mark's gaze was steady, unreadable. You have to keep taking your meds. And then he was gone. The chair across from me stood empty. The scent of coconut vanished. The warmth in the room faded. I looked down at my plate. The eggs were blackened, crusty. The bacon shimmered with a sickly green mold. The sausage was gray and the toast soggy, crumbling apart. Then I noticed movement, maggots writhing through the decay like they'd been waiting for me to see. I gagged, a wriggle catching at my throat. I clawed at my mouth and spat onto the plate. More writhing maggots. I screamed and stumbled back, vomiting violently onto the floor. The bile splattered over a crusted old mess, filling the air with a foul stench of rot, mildew, and despair. The once warm kitchen now felt cold and wrong. The lights flickered faintly as if the room itself was breathing or dying. I backed away, nearly slipping on the slick floor, and stumbled into the hallway. The photos on the wall weren't neat anymore. They hung crooked. One frame's glass was cracked, not fresh, but old and dusty around the edges. I reached out to steady myself, and my fingers came away sticky. I looked down. Blood. Old, dried blood. Not mine. "Mark," I whispered. "Where are you?" No answer. The air felt thick and heavy, like I was moving through water. My chest ached as my eyes shifted to the stairs. I moved toward them cautiously, each step creaking beneath me. A low groan echoed somewhere, maybe inside my head. A pressure built behind my eyes, hot and blinding. "It wasn't your fault, my love," came his faint, warm voice. "You have to keep taking your meds." I gripped the banister, legs shaking, and peered down the staircase. There he was. Mark lay at the bottom, broken and crushed. His head twisted unnaturally, dried blood fanning out beneath him like a cruel painting. One shoe missing, his arm trapped in the banister, as if he'd tried to catch himself, reaching for help at the last moment. "No, no, no, no," I stammered, collapsing beside him as my legs gave out. "Mark," I cried, clutching his shirt. "Please wake up. I can't." His skin was cold, rigid, his eyes wide, empty. "I didn't know," I whispered, forehead pressed to his. "I didn't know you were gone. I thought we were just having breakfast." My sobs echoed in the stairwell. "I need you." The pressure behind my eyes flared again, blinding and fierce, and for a moment I thought I was slipping away too. I crawled backward on all fours, then stumbled upright. Vision blurred, I turned away from his body and back toward the hallway. I couldn't bear to look anymore. I reached the bathroom, clutching the door frame for support. The sink was rusted, the air thick with decay. I turned on cold water and splashed my face, trying to push the scream down. When I looked in the mirror, I stopped breathing. The woman staring back wasn't someone who belonged to a peaceful staycation. Pale, with dark rings under her eyes, lips cracked, collarbones sharp beneath a stained, thin shirt, greasy hair clinging to her temples. She looked starved. She looked dead. I touched my cheek. The woman in the mirror did the same. Tears filled my eyes again, not from fear, but because this was real. This was me. From somewhere behind me, distant yet familiar. "Your breakfast is getting cold." I turned, but the mirror showed only emptiness. Still, the voice was everything. I walked down the hall again. The floors were clean, the light soft. The air smelled like coconut and sunlight. The kitchen looked warm once more, golden. The smell of breakfast filled the air, and Mark's voice floated softly. "Your breakfast is getting cold." I sat at the table, smiling as I reached for my fork. "I love you," I whispered. Everything was all right. Of course it was.